Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
You can put it on the board! Yes! He could go all the way.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in, everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, WOW, Spectrum, and independent cable affiliates. Thanks for joining us in select markets. Also on Hotel TV, where applicable, and also on all social media platforms. And Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, a fun group. Talk about your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes, your favorite foods. Make some friends have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. Now, we think about college football, and college football, we think of its scandals and its crap. We don't think about great games anymore, not like we used to. And unfortunately, usually there are the same several pairings of schools always sparring off and causing crap for one another. And needless to say, those are Ohio State. And of course, they always get an astounding round of boos. And their counterparts, the University of Michigan. We'll just cut that one a little shorter because actually it's a little bit more, in my opinion, of a respectable university. But we always have these same things with Alabama and Auburn. And of course, we have them with LSU and anybody that plays LSU, and Texas A&M, USC, UCLA, even though they're now in the Big Ten, which is ridiculous to imagine. But it's always the same thing, mudslinging and garbage going back and forth. And sometimes you say, well, hey, one is going to cheat, maybe the other one is going to cheat. Maybe one has a great season. And then the next one says, well, we want to have a great season too. Well, guess what? Michigan wins the national title a couple of years back, whatever. It's an Ohio State says, oh, we're going to go ahead and win one too. Or are we, I guess, the question is, are we going to try to buy one, in my opinion?
Show me the money!
Right. And so with that massive recruiting budget, and who knows where they get their money from, I don't know. I'm not really sure why those guys and those others from South Bend don't seem to ever really find themselves on the naughty list from the NCAA. I wonder why that is. It's interesting to imagine that one institution can face a barrage of charges from the NCAA and whoever the powers that be, and the other one seems to skate away and never have an issue. I wonder why that is. Maybe a conversation for another time. But then again, I also wonder about Bill Belichick and his journey over to the University of North Carolina. is that ever going to affect the Carolina and Duke rivalry? And it doesn't matter whether it's football, because guess what? It's university against university, but Carolina and Duke are a lot more friendly, if you will, than Ohio State and Michigan. And so I don't necessarily believe that that's going to cause too much trouble between Duke and Carolina, but I do believe that the ongoing mudslinging over and over, I don't care what sport or whatever, it just constantly happens. And in my opinion, it's those people from Columbus, Ohio, that really sling the mud. Now, I wonder why that is. You know, you look at their scandals and their stuff, and you say, well, what do they really get involved with? They have their proverbial top 10 of scandals and so forth. And of course, this is the funny thing about this is here is a Columbus Monthly newsletter from way back when, whatever. Now, mind you, the NIL stuff was going on, well, in the recent years. But this is from a while back. And now this is their alleged top 10 scandals at Ohio State. And number 10 was the Lydell Ross suspension for the strip club incident. So you may remember the senior tailback was suspended for being investigated, quote, end quote, by police after allegedly using fake in-house currency at a Columbus strip club. Not really sure what that is. Anyway, Ross was eventually cleared by the Columbus Police Department. And isn't the real scandal there that the strip clubs aren't using actual dollar bills? I mean, think about that one. It sort of takes the fun out of making it rain. And then they had another one a while back with Chris Carter. Remember Chris Carter, the wide receiver? His secret signing. That's right, he had an agent signing. So a much cooler scandal, apparently, by the ColumbusMonthly.com website, they say would have been Chris Carter signing with the feds as a secret agent. Oh, that's right. All he does is catch terrorists. Despite this moment of disgrace leading to a 6-4-1 record in 1987 and Earl Bruce's firing afterwards, Carter redeemed himself recently, according to Columbus Monthly many years ago, with a sincere apology to Ohio State fans. And that was their number 9. I mean, so you see where we're going with this, folks. Then they get into the Urban Meyer situation with Aaron Hernandez. So perpetual sports scandal beater, the 4-letter network. And you see, I like this. This initial sentence, just the first line, they say perpetual sports scandal baiter ESPN treats the NFL as a sacred cow because it's a cash cow, and we're preemptively guessing they will seize on the minor Urban Meyer angle in Rolling Stone's piece about tight ends now accused of murder. And of course, I like how they spin this against ESPN, because what that tells me is they're saying that ESPN gives Michigan preferential treatment, because if it's counter to Ohio State, then it's got to be pro-Michigan. Think about that for a minute. Okay, your time's up. It wasn't a minute, it was 3 seconds. So what they're saying is that their number 8 scandal from Columbus Monthly happens to be that situation. And wouldn't the scandal really be against the 4-letter network rather about the issue itself with Urban Meyer and Aaron Hernandez, which turned out to be a really big deal? I don't know if that's a number 8, but if that's number 8, let's move on. How about Steve Bellisari gets a DUI? That's their number 7. So apparently that one is more important than the Urban Meyer Aaron Hernandez thing. And you may remember Aaron Hernandez, well, unfortunately ended up accused of murder and so forth, and things went really bad for Aaron Hernandez. However, the Steve Bellisari thing says 2 days before senior day, Bellisari got popped with a blood alcohol of 0.22, which is about 3 times over the legal limit. And of course, he was never really a fan favorite anyway, so why couldn't he wait until after throwing 3 interceptions and a loss to Illinois, the Fighting Illini, to get hammered? Oh well. It led to Craig Krenzel beating Michigan. I like how they spin that back into something against Michigan in their first start as a national championship in the following year. So you see, it always goes back to they're trying to catch, in my opinion, their athletic big brother, which is Michigan, which to me is kind of funny if you think about it, because everything they do is anti-Michigan. Michigan doesn't necessarily worry about everything that Ohio State does. But it's funny. It's kind of like when you look at the Mets and the Yankees, or the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, of Orange County, the Orange Curtain of Santa Ana Riverbed, of Interstate 5, of Earth, longest name in sports, and the Dodgers. Teams playing second fiddle to others in a conference, division, whatever it is. So this DUI thing somehow gets spun to a positive against Michigan. I mean, that's ridiculous. And, of course, we'll go to number 6 before we go to break. We're going to stop after number 6. And they say, of course, the, quote, Benedict Arnold move further proves nothing good comes from Michigan to stand a chance at competing with Ohio State. That team must resort to stealing Ohio's best talent. Also see Charles Woodson. That's funny. So they say, well, bold boats for the bozos in blue. That's what Columbus Monthly said. And all they're doing is making themselves look even worse than they are. We're going to get into the alleged leadership globally and nationally for Ohio State and Michigan in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. I want to finish these top 10 when we come back from break. This is really ridiculous. But that's how deep the hatred runs. And unfortunately, they can't size up in any other way. So all they can do in Columbus, Ohio is what? Sling mud. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our radio affiliates, including our friends over on 99.1 FM WDJY over in the greater Atlanta market. Thanks for driving to work with us or driving wherever you're at first thing in the morning. And of course, everybody driving home from wherever you're driving home from at about 7 p.m. That would be Central Time over in Auburn, Alabama. Actually, from Montgomery, Alabama, all the way over to Columbus, Georgia. Thanks for joining us there. Plus, everybody else up and down the Midwest, throughout the heartland, out to the West Coast. Those driving between LA and Las Vegas, listening in on Highway Country Music. That's 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. That's home of the Vegas Golden Knights and the Raiders as well. Plus, up the West Coast, all the way to Anchorage, down to our friends in Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees, 49ers, and Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus, everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild, Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets. Also, welcome in to everybody on Hotel TV, where applicable, as well as those on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check out Chicago Food Favorites, folks. Lots of cool recipes or restaurants and whatnot over there. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. By the way, folks, our friends over at Vacation Buddies want to give you a couple of nights over in Las Vegas, Orlando, or in Branson, Missouri. If you can answer a very simple trivia question, that trivia question is this. Which of these NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want you to have a couple of nights at one of those great locations right here in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to that very simple trivia question, and if you do, call 888-576-5777. Okay, back with this nonsense with Ohio State and their list of top 10 scandals. Now, mind you, this is from ColumbusMonthly.com. Of course, the story within, allegedly, their entertainment division, whatever that's supposed to mean, I'm not really sure. But this is their list. And, of course, just to recap, their number 10, real quick, was the Lydell Ross suspended for the strip club incident with fake money. Chris Carter was number 9 with their secret agent signing. Urban Meyer Aaron Hernandez item was number 8. And then they have the Steve Bellisari spin. He gets a DUI somehow. It's negative against the University of Michigan somehow, which I'm still trying to figure that one out. And then they had the old bolts for the bozos in blue, according to Columbus Monthly. And they say this Benedict Darnold move further proves nothing good comes from Michigan to stand a chance at competing with Ohio State. That team must resort to stealing Ohio's best talents. Okay, if that's the case, then, well, geez. I mean, quite honestly, folks, the University of Michigan is better academically than every school within the state of Ohio. And that's even better than Oberlin College, which is a very, very good school in the state of Ohio, probably the best one. In case you're wondering, as far as sports management goes, the best program in the nation for sports management and broadcasting and all that other fun stuff, it's not those, or better yet, that institution down in Columbus. No, it happens to be Ohio University. That's right, over in Southeast Ohio. The Bobcats of Ohio U have the best sports program in the nation. Now, don't confuse that. Do not confuse that with those, or better yet, let's just say that institution over in Columbus. Okay, now to their top 5. They say the number 5 scandal for those guys in Columbus. They say the Ballad of Maurice Claret. I think it was a little bit more than that. But they say, of course, they're trying to candy coat it, sugar coat it, call it what you will, coat it. Looking to throw away your promising future, question mark? Try falsely claiming stolen property to the police, accepting $20,000 in special benefits, signing early with an agent, and therefore ceding NCAA eligibility, back in the day, of course, only to be denied early entry into, yes, the NFL draft. Oh boy, another genius coming out of Ohio State. And of course, also Maurice Claret passing up guaranteed money for an incentive-based NFL deal when you're out of shape, racking up $1 million in legal debt. Oh, and it gets better. It gets better. Getting indicted for robbery and driving around with a loaded AK-47 and an open bottle of Grey Goose. Oh, boy. Yet another model student athlete that came out of Ohio State. And mind you, that was only number 5. Let's go to number 4. Oh boy, and there's the model citizen of Art Schlichter. You can't remember. If you can't remember this guy, here's just a little quick Wikipedia. And they call him Arthur Ernest Schlichter, born April 25, 1960, is a retired college and professional American football quarterback known for his compulsive gambling. That's right, compulsive gambling.
Show me the money!
That's right, and legal problems that arose from it. And his surname is pronounced Schlichter, in case you're wondering. That is, of course, according to Columbus Monthly. And, of course, then you have Woody Hayes as your number 3. And that was for doing what? For punching.
Show me the money!
Was it for money? Maybe not. How about for punching a Clemson player? That guy. Oh, yeah. And they say, of course, to be fair, it was really more of a clothesline than a punch. Seriously, this is a coach here. And then above that, at the number 2 slot, they say John Cooper's Michigan record. As in, they're normalizing a punch to a student athlete and say, oh, well, he's not that bad. How about John Cooper's record? They say, you want a scandal in Buckeye Nation? How about the scandalous decision by Cooper to not motivate his team to show up for the biggest game on the schedule year after year? And they say 2-10-1, never forget. Yet, somehow, that is more of an issue than all the other horrible things that we went over, including the one I just mentioned with Woody Hayes punching a student athlete. That's right. And, of course, they're number 1, an abysmal tattoo gate. Who would have thought a few players trading memorabilia for tattoos would spiral into Jim Tressel's ousting? An entire dream season down the drain and another dream season cut short? Question mark. Somehow that's worse. Imagine the tattoo thing. It's worse than Woody Hayes punching a player. Art Schlichter with his game-fixing crap and his gambling nonsense, wrecking everything. It's worse than the Maurice Claret thing of driving around with a loaded AK-47, an open bottle of Grey Goose. That's right, being $1 million in debt, mind you, as a Buckeye. And then it's worse also than all these other ones. Well, let's just go to the Urban Meyer, Aaron Hernandez thing, of course, and that was a really big situation. So somehow, in the infinite lack of wisdom, at ColumbusMonthly.com, they say that was their number one scandal. That's right. That is their number one scandal. Because what are they trying to do? They're trying to normalize, in my opinion, bad behavior. And that was the list. Top 10 Ohio State football scandals. Now, how in the world does that even make sense? When you normalize, I guess, assault and battery, you normalize driving around with a loaded, deadly weapon, drinking and driving, and everything bad that you can imagine that could come out of that kind of situation, and saying the tattoo scandal is the worst thing that has happened in the top 10. That is the worst scandal in their illustrious and or potentially infamous schedule of accomplishments or lack thereof. How does that work? I mean, look, every school, every program, I should say, has something somewhere. And we think back to when we had Eric Dickerson on the show, and Eric Dickerson did not take the car, didn't do the things that the NCAA had alleged that he did and whatnot. And Eric Dickerson clarified everything. And honestly, SMU got the death penalty for that. And think about this. Out of these 10 items, why did Ohio State never get a suspension, a ban from postseason? They never got anything like this, according to everything we just read. They never got a damn thing. Why is that? It's because of favoritism, in my opinion, and they deserve an astounding round of boos. Back here in a minute, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Why isn't this an awkward moment?
A primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportcircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. How do you not love that music? I'm Tom Brenneman.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Thanks for joining us from coast to coast on Pick Your Favorite Radio or television affiliate. And also, by the way, in case you just joined us and you missed the last segment, we did make a quick announcement from Vacation Buddies, and they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to the simple trivia question, we're going to repeat it here in case you missed it earlier. Which of these NBA superstars won 4, or better yet, won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call Vacation Buddies at 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Remember, Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights at one of those great locations. If you know the answer to a trivia question, you got a shot at picking them up. 888-576-5777. Okay, so in the last couple of segments, it was about the scandals that were, I don't know, technically self-reported or something, or they were kind of glazed over and glossed over rather nicely in their own way from Columbus Monthly. And the reason this is such a big deal, why are we going over this, is because we can, first of all. And college football is clearly one of the greatest things in America, in my opinion. From an athletic standpoint, it's hard to beat college football. And so we look back at some of the things that have happened at Ohio State, and they've been normalized. They've been glossed over. They've been pick your favorite word, pick your favorite whatever. The problem is when it comes to a better academic institution, and let me tell you something, folks. I can tell you as an academic recruiter for the last 25 years, Ohio State is not even in the same area code academically as the University of Michigan. It is night and day. Just like for those people in Chicagoland. If you think you're going to, this again, just my opinion, you think you're going to a good school at Chicago State University. That's like comparing Chicago State on the south side of Chicago to the University of Chicago, which is also on the south side of Chicago. And folks, these two institutions couldn't be any further apart from one another academically. Well, and this is how I feel as a recruiter when I think about the difference between Ohio State and Michigan. I have a love for either one of these institutions. I'm a fellow Big Ten rival. But as a recruiter, I could tell you there is a drastic difference between the two. So what happens, everybody over in Columbus and in their world of whatever, in their world, they say, well, let's focus on everything to make the image of the University of Michigan bad, and let's make us look better. So what do? Let's fast forward. It says, NCAA hammers Michigan, making Jim Harbaugh the most penalized cheater in sports history. Yeah, that's what they say. Which I got to tell you, folks, I find that a little bit funny, but then again, it's just my opinion and nothing more. However, this is a Sports Illustrated editorial by somebody named Pat Ford. And you would swear, if you didn't know better, you would swear that this guy was an alum from that institution down in Columbus. And he writes, "Hard to beat cheaters, Jim Harbaugh," to author John U. Bacon, as published in Bacon's 2019 book on Michigan football. So recently, 6 years and a national championship removed from his time looking down on the rule breaker in college football, Jim Harbaugh officially became one of the most penalized cheaters in the sport's history. The NCAA Committee on Infractions, we'll call them let's call them the Committee on Infractions for now, because they have an acronym for them later on in this article here. Anyway, so they say that they ruled that Harbaugh committed major rule violation and delivered a 10-year show cause penalty to the former coach of the Wolverines in the Connor Stalions affair, one of the more bizarre capers in college football annals, and that is according, again, to Pat Ford, not me. And so, again, this can be found on Sports Illustrated. And so, nonetheless, Pat Ford goes on to say that 10-year sanction doesn't even take into effect until after Harbaugh's current 4-year show cause penalty expires for a different set of rule violations. Thus, Harbaugh is facing show cause rulings that would make him difficult to hire as a college coach prior to August 7th of 2038. So Jeremy Pruitt, Kelvin Sampson, and Bruce Pearl look like Ivy Leaguers compared to Harbaugh, according to Pat Ford. And of course, the COI, there's the acronym I was looking for infractions. All right, so this is, again, the committee. It's just the NCAA Committees on Infractions. All right, so anyway, the COI infraction actually had stated that Harbaugh ran a program that was largely dismissive of rule compliance, and there was little, if any, emphasis on following the rules. To the contrary, his program saw compliance as the enemy made their own decisions regarding interpreting rules to their benefit, or outright committee rule violations. So, Pat Ford says, if you can't beat the cheaters, join them. Then beat them. Then beat the posse out of town. That's the final notation on the career arc of Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. Pat Ford says they are a smug school that cannot consider itself more athletically principled than its competitors. Now, that statement alone deserves an astounding round of boos. So Pat Ford wrote this, but I got to tell you, folks, this guy, I don't know who he thinks he is for saying such things. And these are borderline libelous remarks. Of course, I'm not going to say that they are. I'm just going to say, in my opinion, they're borderline libelous. Anyway, he says this is a stain on the legacy of a man in the program that care about such things. It also means nothing in terms of impacting the national title from a couple of years ago and the record books. And he said Harbaugh left for the LA Chargers after winning the national championship and is now chasing a Super Bowl ring that would make him one of the most accomplished coaches in history. He has no need and, one would assume, no desire to return to college football, according to Sports Illustrated and Pat Ford. His work at that level, aided by the cloak and dagger fanboy spymaster Stallions, is done. Oh boy. In today's shamed optional sports universe, where no apologies are necessary for anything but losing, this particular judgment was a win for Michigan. It's a damn expensive win, with the school facing a record fine in the $30 million range, and that allegedly is real money, as one prominent college administrator put it to Pat Ford. But there's always more of that to shake free at schools like Michigan. The Wolverines avoided the worst of it. So Pat Ford continues to beat the daylights. He browbeats Michigan. And maybe he's just been out of shape because he didn't go to school there. Maybe he applied to Michigan and he couldn't get into Michigan. Ended up going to school somewhere in Missouri. Whatever. Not to say that they're bad down there, but it ain't Michigan. Anyway, Pat Ford goes on to say there is no postseason ban looming to ruin the season. Those are out of vogue, according to Pat Ford, in this kind and gentler NCAA where even repeat violators remain eligible to chase championships, and there is no vacating of victories from the 3 playoff seasons from 21, 22, and 23 because there are no ineligible players involved in impermissible advanced scouting, and there are no scholarship reductions, and even the recruitment restrictions that were applied are easily surmountable. Okay, so again, Sports Illustrated and Pat Ford is just browbeating and trying to diminish the value of the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and frankly, it's a bad taste on Sports Illustrated's side and Pat Ford's. I can't believe they would even publish such a thing, which is so heavily slanted towards their counterparts, that would be from an athletic standpoint, certainly not an academic standpoint, down in Columbus, Ohio. And then Pat Ford goes on to say one of the few areas where the COI could hit Michigan, where it hurts, is in its sanctioning current head coach Sharon Moore, who committed level 2 violations and is a repeat offender himself. But Moore's penalties were delivered with a velvet hammer, a single game suspension added to the 2026 season to the 2 he will serve in the current year. And Michigan even got a hand-selected which games he will miss on top of it. Of course, Central Michigan and Nebraska were those. Nonetheless, we're going to continue with this nonsense and move on and give you a bigger picture of what this looks like in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today. Don't let your retirement accounts get caught off guard by trade and tariff wars. Learn why a Genesis Gold IRA is the #1 choice for thousands of Americans across the nation. 800-709-4423. 800-709-4423. 800-709-4423. That's 800-709-4423.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows, which can be found on all streaming platforms: Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, plus a whole bunch of others. Also, make sure to check out the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. One of those, our favorite, is Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't get over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. You can read all about the creation of the famous Italian beef sandwich 117 years ago. They've been in business since 1938, serving up incredible food. Check them out again at alsbeef.com. All right, welcome back to everybody. You know, you are TV and radio. Thanks for joining us. And it's the ever-glowing, or better yet, tarnished battle between good and evil. And I wouldn't even say that there is a good and evil here, but, well, I think there is an evil here, but you make the decision of who it is. But there is a ongoing battle, and it has been going on for quite some time, between Ohio State and Michigan. And, again, I have no dog in the fight. I don't have a favoritism to either, and I'm a Big Ten rival grad myself, so I'm just looking at it for what it is. And when I look at the barrage of statements and the barrage of positions taken against the University of Michigan, a very, very good school, by the way, unlike Ohio State, I look at what their grads have done. You know what? Let's just get out of this whole Sports Illustrated thing. Let's get over to something that matters here. When I think about success off the field, I don't think of Ohio State. When I think of success on the field and off the field, between these two, I certainly think of the University of Michigan. So, in case you don't know, the University of Michigan produces more CEOs at Fortune 1000 companies than Ohio State and any other public university. That's right. In fact, we're going to give them a round of applause for doing so. So the reality is, this institution produces people that are successful. Now, the University of Michigan is the alma mater of more than 30 alums serving as CEOs at large, publicly traded companies, a sum higher than any other public institution, according to data sources from Standard & Poor's Global. That's right. Nearly half of these alums have a degree from the Ross School of Business, and almost all lead companies ranked on the Fortune 1000 list, which tracks the largest companies in the United States by revenue. Just the top 10 companies on the list reported $3.7 trillion in revenues in 2023, according to Fortune. And the largest companies led by Michigan Ross alums include Albertsons, the grocer, American Airlines, PNC Financial, and many more. Of course, Matt Ganderson, managing director of the Michigan Ross full-time and global MBA programs, notes that success of these Ross alums in upper leadership positions is a great reflection of what the school works to prepare prepare. That's right. To prepare its students to achieve. That's pretty good stuff. And they say, quote, we focus on developing the whole person, including emotional intelligence and cultural competencies, all required to be an effective global business leader, close quote. That's a pretty good statement. So let's take a look at some of these. I mean, I can go over this long list, but check this out. A few of the world's biggest companies led by those alums, not from Ohio State, but they're led by Michigan grads, include Albertsons. Now, in case you don't know, Albertsons, of course, Albertsons Companies has been led by Vivek, MBA, 1993, since 2019. Prior to leading Albertsons, Vivek was CEO of Pepsi, or PepsiCo, of North America. That's pretty damn big. That's right. Allstate is led by Thomas J. Wilson, a grad from 1979 from Michigan. Wilson became Allstate CEO in 2007 and became the chair of the board in 2008. How about American Airlines? American Airlines has been led by Robert Isom, MBA of Michigan of 1991 since 2022. Prior to leading American Airlines, he served as the company's president from 16 to 22, and as vice president and chief operating officer prior to that. You see where I'm going with this, folks? How about this one? How about Bloomin' Brands? Has been led by David Deno at Michigan, MBA from 1982. That's right. And before leading the company, he was responsible for Bloomin' Brands' business analytics and global strategy, and also led financial planning and reporting. Bloomin' Brands, in case you don't know, is the parent company of Outback Steakhouse, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bonefish Grill, Fleming's Prime Steakhouse and Wine Bar, and other brands as well. That's right. I mean, these are big, big things. So if you're going to tear down an institution saying, well, you know, these guys are not very good at doing this and doing that, whatever. Look, you can beat up your competitor all you want, but you better come with something. I mean, seriously, folks, you better come with something, because the accomplished grads from the University of Michigan are far more advanced, leaps and bounds, than those from Ohio State. And believe me, folks, it is not even close. So now, when you look at the institutions and their leadership, you say, okay, well, let's talk about these rankings in general. Let's go to something where more people can ask some questions, answer some questions. They could do some research and say, well, maybe we want to look at this from a wealth standpoint. Since Ohio State seems to pour so much money into their athletics, well, certainly they must have some billionaires in the group, don't you think? So think about this. There's a list of universities by number of billionaire or alumni. So, counting all degrees, unfortunately, Harvard comes in first place in terms of total number of billionaires. The University of Pennsylvania comes in first place if only bachelor's degrees are counted, according to the most recent 2022 Forbes report. Harvard also ranks first in the number of ultra-high net worth alums. I wonder where that money comes from. Maybe China? I don't know. I wonder. Anyway, with assets greater than 30 million, and of course, their total number of ultra-high net worth alum is more than twice of that, the next highest institution being Stanford, and those figures have not been adjusted for the relative size of those institutions itself. So how about this? The global top 10 universities by number of billionaire alums per Wealth X. How about this? All right, so number one, they have possibly some foreign money there from Harvard. Stanford comes in number two. UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, comes in third. Columbia, maybe some foreign money there out of New York City. MIT comes in fifth. Cornell, sixth. Yale, seventh. University of Southern California, eighth. University of Chicago, ninth, not to be confused with Chicago State. And the University of Michigan comes in at number 10 with 26 billionaire alumni. Now, I don't know about you, but I certainly didn't hear Ohio State in that group whatsoever. Well, let's take it a little step further. How about the global top 20 universities by number of ultra-high net worth alums, greater than 30 million per Wealth X? Once again, this can be found on Wikipedia. And so there's Harvard 1, Stanford 2, UPenn 3, Columbia 4, NYU 5, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, but you can call them MIT, is 6, University of Cambridge 7, Northwestern out of Chicago number 8, University of Southern California 9, University of Chicago 10, Yale 11, Cal Berkeley 12, Oxford 13, Cornell 14, UT Austin 15, Princeton 16, and let's go down to number 18, Miami. Number 17 is Notre Dame. Number 19 is INSEAD, and number 20 is UCLA. Notice I didn't say Ohio State anywhere in there. So that's 2 lists so far. How about this one? This was a little bit more recent. This was from Altrata, Global Top 20 Universities by Numbers of High Net Worth over $30 million. Well, we have the same suspects there, just in different order. And once again, I don't see Ohio State anywhere in there. Let's go back even, I don't know, maybe a little bit further. And so we go back in time to show a little bit of track record. And we show UPenn on top for the Global Top 20. And so scrolling down, University of Southern California 14th, Princeton 4th, Princeton number 5, Stanford number 5, a three-way tie for number 5, Berkeley number 8, University of Mumbai number 8, tied for 8th, London School of Economics number 10, tied with Moscow State, Dartmouth, Michigan, University of Texas, Duke, NYU, Columbia, Brown. That rounds out an MIT. That rounds out your top 20, folks. You notice I didn't say Ohio State. No, I mentioned Michigan in there, and I mentioned Duke University in there. I mentioned University of Southern California, Yale, Princeton, Harvard, Penn, etc., etc. All the right schools are there. MIT. Oh, yeah. And again, how about the global top 11 universities by number of undergraduate billionaires per Forbes? How about this one? UPenn 1, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Mumbai, Cornell, USC, MIT, Columbia, Princeton. Columbia, maybe some foreign money again there, same thing with Harvard. University of Cal Berkeley, maybe a little bit of the same. My point is, I don't see Ohio State anywhere in this leadership. And I'm just going list by list by list. Alumni in the top 21 or in the Forbes top 400 list. And of course, it's Princeton, Stanford, Yale, USC, Duke, Michigan, Dartmouth, etc. Okay, and we're seeing the same ones over and over and over. You know what we don't see? We don't see Ohio State. You know why? Because they may put out some graduates. And I'm not going to hold it against them academically, those that are actually going there for academics, because they are pretty good in agriculture. The point is, Michigan not only creates leaders on the field, they create leaders off the field. They run a very big part of the global marketplace on top of it. And so for those people down at Columbus or those that root for them that don't know diddly you know what about academics, you better start guessing again before you start sending people or indoctrinating your kids into that blasted Brutus. Because believe me, folks, there's a hell of a lot more to it than recruiting violations and recruiting this and recruiting that, spending money on academics or spending money on athletics over academics. And it sure seems to me that's what they do in Columbus. And I wonder where they get all their money from anyway. That's another discussion. It's another show. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. That's going to do it for today's circus and show. So we'll call it today's shirkus. All right, back here in not a few minutes. How about 23 hours back here on the circus. Don't go anywhere. Wait 23 hours. We'll be back. So long, everyone.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.